Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name's Wraith, and today I'm going to be going over 3 tactics or strategies that you can use in Middle-earth strategy battle game. They can either be historical or things I just have used in the past to win myself games. And yeah, if you pull them off correctly, they can absolutely win you the game. But you have to use your common sense as well. If you try and use it in every single scenario, it's not going to work, because you need to kind of eyeball the situation and go, you know what, I can pull this off, and it might help. But enough said about that. We'll jump in with the first one. Now, the first one I've gone for is the flank counter. Now, this is quite an interesting one. Basically, what you're seeing now, your army's in red, the enemy is in blue, because I play the evil guys, so I'm red. And I'm going to offer them a very good target to counter. So, a very tempting target to flank. And 9 times out of 10, they'll take it. If they don't take it, that's fine. Never mind. It just means you don't get flanked. Because this is... It's another situation. I like giving my opponent choices. And both choices benefit me. So, the first choice the opponent has is... If you're looking at the blocks, the big squares, they are blocks of infantry. Okay, I just couldn't be bothered to do loads of individual circles because it was just being annoying. So, I've got my block of infantry, my corps, engaged with his corps. And I've charged them in such a way, and I've seen his cavalry, and I don't want their cavalry there. I want them somewhere else, or, you know, I want them to do something with their cavalry because it's annoying me. So, what I've done is I've dangled out the bait. There you go, there's a lovely little flank you can charge. But behind my main battle line, I've got a couple of troops, so archers or something, that are just screening my cavalry, which are the bigger circles behind the smaller circles. And the enemy might not... This only works really if you've got... In this situation, is if your enemy charged your main corps. So you can dagger your corps out for a lovely charge up front, get everyone charged, and knowing that you'll expose their flank. Which means you'll get to move second, which means you can move your archers out the way for your cavalry to come and counter the flank that they've thrown at you. If you don't have priority, just don't put your archers in the way of your cavalry. Okay? So that's the first option they got. They can take the bait. They can take the charge for the counter. If they take that, you counter with your cavalry or whatever you've got in range. Cavalry's better because they've got quicker movement. On the flip side, their other choice is to not do it. And if they don't do it, then, and they've had priority, and they've chosen not to go for the charge because they can see the little trap you put in there for them, if you've got range, by all means, flank them. Why not? Or, it just gives you a chance for your infantry to fight their infantry uninterrupted, without the cavalry being there as a threat. So that's the 2 choices he's really got. Third choice is he could run away with his cavalry, in which case, it's the same as the second choice, like, you're uninterrupted. So, yeah, as long as you've positioned it right, so you're within 10 inches of the flank of your main battle line, but not within 10 inches of the enemy cavalry, otherwise they'll just charge your cavalry or your archers or whatever. Yeah, so that's the first one, and I've used it a couple of times to quite good success, because there's nothing better than dangling out a bit of bait, and if the enemy's, well, not the enemy, sorry, your opponent is thinking... Oh, he's made a mistake here. I can get really nice... I can encircle this force right now. No, I've got a plan. And you've fallen straight into my trap. So, that's the first one. Okay, that's the flank counter. The second one is a very classic tactic. And it's called hammer and anvil. Everyone should know this. If you play Total War, you've probably used it. Everyone should know hammer and anvil, but I haven't covered it, so I thought, you know what, I'll cover it. Basically, what it is I'm using my infantry in this image here to hold down their infantry or whatever I want to hammer. Once they're in place and stuck in place, I'm going to swing my cavalry round in position and hit them from the back or the side. I like to go for the side if I've got impact hits, because you can get more kills that way. But if you don't have the chance for that, go for the rear. And that means they're usually trapped if you charge correctly, and yeah, you've got the cavalry bonus. You can take their spear supports out, so you've got 2 attacks. If you've got a sword and board up front, spear support at the back, you can engage the spear supports behind. and you can usually win as well. Hammer and Anvil. Very, very classic, very, very quick one. Yeah, there's other ways of using it. You can have cavalry on either side and use it like that, or you can have an ambush situation where you've got a nice piece of terrain, you've got goblin mercenaries that can pop out, you tempt them forward to charge your main infantry, goblin mercenaries pop out and charge them from behind, in which case you've trapped them. But yeah, it's all about trapping. It's all about trapping. It works with flying as well, so if you stick flying behind your main battle line, the enemy charge in, or you charge into the enemy, and then the flyers fly over the combat and charge into the rear. That also works, and people get upset with that. So, that's it. Moving on to our third and final one, and this one is a little bit more complicated. It is, well, I call it the feint push. Now, we've got our two infantry, so the red blocks with the line through it are infantry, so, however many, just imagine there's a few models of infantry there, are on our right, and then we've got a third block on the far left, who are kind of standing in front of the enemy's main battle line. Now, this works especially well in scenarios where you have to scramble and grab either an objective, or you have to grab a piece of scenery, or something like that, at the end of the game to hold it. And this works really well, actually, especially if it's closer to the end of the game and it's looking a bit touch and go. You don't know who's going to win at this point. What I like to do is I get my main army, or what's remaining of it, to push at one. We're going to go with terrain. Okay, we're going to say it's terrain. It is the scenario Fog of War, and my terrain piece is actually objective number 1. But I'm going to be pushing for objective number 2. So my feint push will be all this infantry charging straight up to objective number 2, making it very clear, very loud, I want this objective. Now, this gives the enemy kind of a couple of options. They can either try and counter this and go, you know what, I don't want him to have that, it looks very obvious that he wants it. But if they sniff a rat, if they think that you are actually going for objective number 1, they might still send a couple of troops to hold objective number 1. But you've got cavalry here, which are more than quick enough to get up, round and behind and grab the scenery piece, plus the spare infantry block to go up and engage over there as well. But the feint push, you want to make it very obvious you are pushing for objective number 2. Yeah, and it doesn't give them much choice. They have to defend. They can't defend both, but they can try. But if it looks like you're really going for objective number 2, it's near the end of the game, 9 times out of 10, I guarantee it, 9 times out of 10, they'll go, that's the scenery piece he's going for. Because near the end of the game, he's clutching at straws here, he is rushing that objective. He needs to get everybody he can onto them. And yeah, it's pretty simple, but it is effective, and I've used it multiple times, and it has worked each time I've done it. A lot of people might think, oh yeah, that's quite obvious, but it's not. When you're in an event especially, and there's a lot of pressure on, and you do things like that, it can be hard to see things like that. They are my 3 tactics that I put forward to you today. Now let me know in the comment section down below if you've tried any of these tactics, or if you do try them after watching this video, let me know how they go. If they worked or if they didn't, they've worked for me, but that does not mean they work for everyone. And again, you have to pick the right situation. All of my tactics are situational, especially the ones where it starts off in the initial deployment. Your opponent has to deploy it in a different way. But if you have an arsenal of strategies ready, you can be ready for pretty much any situation you get thrown at. So yeah, like I really like the flank counter. It's really fun, and it does annoy people. But the feint push is always good when you do get it off. And Hammer of Anvil is very obvious, so it's kind of one of those situations where the enemy has to charge you and you've got it set up for when they do charge you. But that's all I've got to say about them. Thank you ever so much for watching this video, and if you enjoy this kind of content, please do hit the like button so I know people want more tactic videos, because I'm kind of still testing the field, seeing if people want reviews, tactics, top 10 lists, things like that. I will be bringing out battle reports very soon. Hopefully lockdown sorts itself out so I can actually get real people in here, because I've got all the gear to do real people. Unfortunately, my laptop is not very powerful for recording things like Tabletop Simulator, but I will do my best. thank you ever so much. And if you're feeling saintly today, do hit that subscribe button. But if you don't like it or don't subscribe it, I still hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.